Hi guys, you're welcome back. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing us how to go about the sewing of a crop jacket, a notch collar crop jacket. In my previous tutorial, we drafted the pattern of this crop jacket, and in this tutorial, we are going to be sewing the jacket. For the drafting of the crop jacket pattern, I already dropped a link below in the description. Kindly check it out. I've transferred all the patterns to my actual fabric and the lining. So let's start with the collar. Here is the collar. I indicated on the collar pattern that I'm going to be cutting this on fold, and that is what I have here. As you can see, then I cut two. One is going to be for the fabric and the other is going to be for the lining. I already indicate on all of the patterns that I'm going to be cutting two of each of the pattern for both the actual fabric and the lining. So if you haven't seen the tutorial, kindly check it. So here I have two pieces for the center back. This is the center back, and I cut two pieces for the fabric and the lining. So I have four pieces altogether. Then the same thing for the side back. I have four pieces for the side back as well. Then after cutting all of it, I added my fusible interface to the wrong side of the fabric and the lining. Now, also for the side back, I cut four pieces, two for the actual fabric, two for the lining, then I added visible interface. So, but for the center front, there's going to be a little bit of difference because for the center front, we needed facing. Instead of cutting lining for the center front, we're going to be cutting the actual fabric and we're going to be cutting facing. So for the center front, there's a little bit of difference. Instead of cutting lining for the center front, just like we did for all of the other pattern piece, this one is going to have a facing. Okay, here is where you can get creative. So instead of me using a single color, if you want to use two color, plain and pattern, this is when you can play around with your collar and your lapel. So you can decide to use a different color for the facing, a different color for the actual fabric, depending on what you're trying to achieve. But this one, I cut the same fabric for both the actual fabric and the one I want to use for the facing. The facing is also going to stand as the lining, okay? Instead of cutting lining like other fabric piece, we're going to cut fabric, okay, which is going to be like a facing. I hope you understand. So now we're going to start with the sewing. We're going to get into the sewing part. So the first thing you want to do to make it easier for you to avoid mistake, try as much as possible to do it one after the other. So that is why I'm going to be starting with the back piece. And I'm going to start with the center back. So the way we are going to be sewing this, we're going to be sewing the lining separately, the fabric separately. So what you do on the lining, you're going to do to the fabric. So what you do for the fabric, you're going to do to the lining, and vice versa. This is because you need a total inseam finishing for your jacket to come out well. So for a jacket, you need a total inseam finishing. That is the proper way to finish a jacket. Okay. So I'm going to start with the center back. I'm going to start with the side back as well. So I've already set aside the pattern. So I'm going to start with the actual fabric. So this is the two piece. You're going to have two pieces all together like this. So what you're going to do is to place it on each other. You are going to stitch with 0.5 inch. So I added 0.5 inch for my sewing allowance. Whatever allowance you had, that is what you're going to sew here. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing on the lining. And I'm going to come back to it. So for the side back, before we can work on the side back, we need to finish with the center back. So guys, I'm done joining the center back. As you can see, here's what we have. Then another thing about jacket is a proper pressing. So as you're sewing, you open press. I've not pressed it yet. I've not ironed it yet. So I'm still going to do that after joining the sides. After that, you're going to pick each of the side back and you're going to join it together. Okay, you're going to join these two together like this using your added sewing allowance. Same thing applies to the lining. I'm sure that by now you understand how the process is. Whatever you do on your fabric, you're going to do on the line. Okay, these two together. I'm going to join my lining exactly like this. Okay, before we now proceed to the front. So guys, after sewing, I open press the seam. As you can see, it's laying flat for both the lining and the fabric. So this is one of the things that will make your jacket come out very well. Pressing it properly, ironing it properly. Okay, so that will be all for the back for now. Now for the front, I'm going to separate the pattern. Then we're going to start with the actual fabric. You can either start with the actual fabric or the one you want to use for the lining. Okay, just note that the one you want to use for the lining is going to be the facing and vice versa. Okay, so I'm going to start with the actual fabric and I'm going to do the same thing to the lining. Okay, this is one of the side fronts and this is the center front. Okay, this is how it's going to look like. Then the other side too, we're going to do the same thing. Here is the side front and here is the center front. Okay, so now you're going to pick the fabric and the fabric. So the ones I want to use for the fabric, this is it here. I'm going to pin them together. I just want to show you guys how you're going to join the lining as well. So for the other side too, you do the same thing. You pick the actual fabrics, pin it together. That's how you're going to join it. Then for the lining now, the side front, like I said before, is going to have lining, okay? But the center front is going to have a facing. Instead of having a lining for the center front, instead of having lining for the center front, you are going to have a facing. I just hope you are getting what I'm saying. So now this is facing for that one. It's going to be like this, and this one is going to be like this. So I hope you see how it is now, so that by the time we flip out, um by the time we flip out the lapel, we're going to be having this same color outside. But we want to have another color outside. We want another color for your lapel part. That means you're going to be using another color for the facing. Okay, but here we're using the same color. So we're going to join this, and this other two together. So as I'm done sewing, and after sewing, I will compress the seams, as you can see. So this is the actual fabric, and here is the lining. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. Just like I've said before, whatever you do on the lining is what you're going to do on the fabric. Okay, so this is what you're going to have. Okay, so this is the actual fabric, and here's the lining. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to join the shoulder together, both the front and the back, fabric separately, lining separately. So I'm going to join this shoulder using the 0.5 sewing allowance I added. Whatever allowance you had, you are going to use to join your own together. Okay, do you see? So that's how I'm going to join it. And after joining the shoulder, I'm going to proceed to join the side seam. I'm going to take the side seam. Okay, I added 1.5. I'm going to take the 1.5 on the side. I'm going to take 1.5 on this other side. Same thing on the line as well. So I'll go and join all of this together and show us how it's going to look like. So just like I've said before, what you want to be creative with your collar and your lapel. You want to have the same color or the same design or the same print rather. You're going to use whatever you use for the lapel is what you're going to use for the collar. In case you want to have two color, this one can be the actual fabric and this one can be the lining. Whatever is going to be showing outside is what you're going to use on the other side. So I'm going to start the sewing from this notch part. If you have seen the pattern of this particular jacket, you will understand this notch part. So I'm going to stitch starting from this notch part, and I'm going to stitch around like this. So this round part is where we're going to attach to the neckline. So this one is just going to be the part that's going to be outside, that's going to be folded on our jacket. So now I'm going to stitch like this with 0.5 inch. So guys, I'm done sewing the collar, and here is what I have. I stitched the inside, I notch all the sewing allowance, and I open press. So I stopped this point. Remember I said I'm going to stop at some point here. Then after stopping, I notch it so that this sewing allowance can come out like this. So this point that I stop is the point where the collar and the lapel meet on the pattern. So this particular point, that is where I notch. When I want to sew it to be a guideline for me, my sewing will not exceed this half an inch that I have here. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So this is the point where we're going to have our notch. So if you haven't seen the pattern drafting, you might not understand. So please check out the pattern drafting so that you understand better. So I also have the point here. So okay, I guess so. Look at it now. These points that I have, this part collar, this point here, this is the point here, and this is point here. So for me to be able to sew it very well, to make the sewing easier, that is why I bring out this half inch. So it's going to be like this at the end of the day. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to run a stitch on this point like this before I attach it to the neck of the jacket. After sewing, this is what we are going to have. The fabric and the lining is going to be together. Now let's attach to the neckline of the jacket. So you want to place the center of this here. Okay, I already notched the center. I'm going to place it on the center of the back neckline and secure with a pin. Now we're going to, is either you start from this notch part like this. Okay, so you start like this and you pin it round, or you start from the center, you pin here, you pin towards one side, you pin towards the other side. I already pin it round, and what I'm going to do is to run the first stitch. I'm going to stitch it first just to hold the collar and the fabric together, the neckline together, before I will now place the lining on it to turn it round. I just hope you understand what I meant. So now I'm done sewing, and I'm going to remove all of the pins. After sewing I'm going to remove all of these pins. Then we're going to attach the lining to the actual fabric. So this is how the front is going to look like. Okay, now the next thing is to turn it with the lining, and what we're going to be doing, we're going to be placing the lining on the actual fabric, right side facing right side. So here is the right side of the lining. I'm going to flip this collar inside like this. I'm going to flip the collar inside, and you're going to place the lining. So the collar is going to be in between the lining and the fabric. So you find the midpoint, the front and back, then you pin it together. Then you secure it with a pin. Okay. You arrange the neckline all round to the front. So you can either start from the center back here or you start from the front, any which way. So let's start from the front. You're going to place it on each other like this. You place it on each other, then you secure with a pin. So the way we are going to be sewing this, we're going to be sewing from the center front like this to the hem. And then another thing about this is that the lining and the actual fabric are not the same length. I reduce half an inch from the length of the lining. Okay, so I'll be able to take the half an inch inside. Do you understand? Because the length of the lining is shorter than that of the actual fabric, I'm going to start my sewing from the down part because I want to pull it a little bit with half an inch. So I'm going to stitch the down part first. I'll pull it up before and now start from the center front to the neckline all around. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to show us how it's going to look like. Going, and this is what it's going to look like. As you can see, here is the center front. I started my stitching from the down part to the neckline, across the neckline, across the shoulder, and back to the center front here. Okay, and when I'm done, I notch this part. I trim it down a little bit to avoid that part being bulky. Then this other side, I'm still going to notch this upper part. Then I'm going to trim it down a little bit so that that part will not be bulky. So when you're done, the only part that will be open is just the armhole, and that is where you're going to turn the fabric inside out. If you want to make it sleeveless, you can simply turn the armhole, but if you want to attach a sleeve, the armhole is going to be open like that. So this one is going to have a sleeve. After turning it inside out, you bring out all the edges like this one. You bring out the edges and just use your scissors to bring out the edges. The other side, you do the same thing. Bring all of the edges out. Okay, so this is how your knot should be. It should be as neat as this one. Okay, if you do not sew it like that, it might not be easy for you to turn around and it might not come out well. Same thing applies to this other side. Okay, so this other side, I'm going to trim it down a little bit more. It's still bulky, so I'm going to trim it down. I'm going to trim it down. Edges. So because I use this lining to drag the fabric, that is why this piece is like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to give it a proper press or iron it very well so that the fabric can relax. This fabric is a little bit thick. So then we are going to have our lapel. So you see the notch. This is how your notch should be. This is how you should relax. Okay. So if you follow that process, you're going to get the same result. So now this is what we are going to have. Then we are going to flip your lapel. So the break point is still under the bust. You fold your collar like this. You have your lapel like this. Okay, it's because I have no iron, that's why it's not laying flat. So guys, this is what you should have. So I'm going to give it a proper press and bring out all of the seam lines. Okay, so and I advise that when you are sewing all of your lines, please make sure you put hemming gum in between so that when you want to iron to make it more easier. So by the time you are pressing it, you are ironing it, the hemming gum will just hold the fabric and the lining together. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do now is to attach my sleeve. So just got a basic sleeve pattern. So I just got a basic sleeve. You want to make it jacket sleeve that is the two-piece sleeve. I have a tutorial on how to cut a two-piece sleeve. I'm still going to link the video in the description. You can check that out as well. So now I'm going to be attaching the sleeve, and with that we are done with this tutorial. So I'm going to iron it properly, attach the sleeve, and we're going to see how it's going to look like at the end of the day. So guys, thank you very much for watching this tutorial. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to like this video. Please like this video, share, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Till we meet again in my next one. Bye bye.